Hello everyone, Akars here, and this is the new Devlog episode of my Attack on Titan inspired moment FPS called Exolien. In case you want to know more about this project, you can check out my previous Devlog videos. Alright then, let's get started. Last time I showed you a small teaser of the new character, and here is the unblued version. This design was created by Maxim Toyek, a concept artist. It's not completely finished of course, but this one does give me a good understanding of what my character should look like. Make sure to check out Maxim's artworks following the link below. The process of modeling this character was a long one, so I guess I will just put it into a small montage for you to enjoy. So yeah, here is the end result, and I think it turned out to look really cool. Would like to hear what you guys think about it. Along with modeling a new character, I switched to using a new character rig. It's pretty similar to my old one, but it has some improvements and better bond names. Since it's pretty much the same rig but with different bond names, I should be able to easily retarget animations from the old to the new one. Oh, so I thought. As you can see, the old rig has this issue with shoulders being too long, so the arms look a little weird. I wanted to fix that and scale shoulder bones down, and due to this, all of my old animations when retargeted have this small arms offset. I tried fixing it using Unreal's animation blueprint, and it almost worked, but still looked a little funky. And that's how I decided to completely recreate all my character animations. The process was a long one, but I managed to improve the whole feel of my weapons by adding a new tilted state for them when the character is falling or sliding. I also tried adding more impact for shooting animations, and I think I succeeded in that. Another thing that I changed are blocking animations for the swords. Before this, I had one state of blocking and a little animation for a head. It looked okay, but I think it was rather odd, especially when we were blocking bullets. So now we have 5 different blocking states that change every time you block an attack. I think this looks much more satisfying. When I finished recreating animations, I started implementing them into the game. This should have been a test for like 30 minutes, but I ended up spending an entire day on that. At first, not all of my animations were exported, and I had to add them as analyte tracks in Blender, whatever that means. Then I had to put guns in the right position so the animations look alright. But for some reason reload animations still looked off, and I spent even more time and found out that they were a little slower than necessary. And who knows what was the reason. In the end everything looks fine, so all those problems just don't matter anymore. When animations were finally implemented, I decided to add a small customization menu, so I can check out how my character looks in the game itself. And this task turned out to be a little harder than I predicted. Basically, I wanted to easily change models of the character, hair and armor, and to change their colors right in the game. To save all this data, I decided to encode it into a simple string, which can be easily stored or shared. Creating an encoder wasn't hard at all, but I can't say something like that about the decoder, which is supposed to read this code and recreate character look according to it. I had some problems with it, but in the end it turned out to work quite fine. The real problems came when I started implementing color switching. I have created something like this a few years ago, but in that time I didn't know about texture baking, so every separate color was in a separate material slot, which made it really easy to configure. But here in Exolien, models tend to have one or a few texture maps, each with a few different colors on them. The only solution I came up with was to create a custom Material ID system directly in Unreal's shader editor. For those ones who don't know, Material ID system is a system that can separate regions on the texture by the difference in the color. Since Unreal's shader editor isn't very code-based and I'm too lazy to learn all those shader languages, I had to work around some limitations, one of which being the lack of arrays. In the end, I got a system that can differentiate up to 9 different colors on the texture map and apply user-set colors to their regions. This wasn't that hard to figure out, but have a look at this mess of nodes and consider that this monstrosity mainly consists of custom material functions, which also consist of custom material functions, so this thing is actually pretty huge. Luckily, I only need to use this system for characters and their weapons, so it shouldn't have a very large performance impact. But this wasn't the end of my messing with colors, cause I needed to create an interface that players will use to configure these colors. I wanted to create a color wheel, but I had no idea how to do it, so it turned out to be kinda odd. It was rather easy to use, but with my setup I could only get a color from a point on the wheel. That meant that you could not edit an existing color, you had to recreate it every time. That wasn't acceptable, so I tried creating a color triangle, but I faced quite the same problem. In the end, I just decided to give players 4 sliders for red, green, blue and brightness channels. This system is pretty stable, but not that intuitive to use. I will probably replace it in the future. As for the menu itself, I decided to go with this rather simple design. It allows players to easily choose the base models for their characters, change their colors and even switch between an unlimited amount of configurations, so they can store as much appearances as they want. Currently it's stored on players' PC, but I plan to move it to Epic's player database, located on their cloud servers. This would allow players to have an access to their appearances and gear on any device, but I'll probably leave this for some of the future videos. Okay, this video is finally coming to its end. It was a rather interesting journey for me, and I managed to gather a lot more motivation to work on the actual multiplayer gameplay of Exolien. So, thanks for watching, see you next time, bye bye!